Hello, I'm Paul and I'm a teacher at SET English. I'm here today to have a chat about an aspect of speaking which I think is very, very useful, but people often forget or they overlook. Okay, so I hopefully will have a few people coming to watch, and if I do, I'd love some questions. Okay, so I'm just going to keep an eye on the comments. If you're here, please say hello. So we've got Shokat. Hello, Shokat. Nice to see you. Where are you today? Hopefully we'll have a couple of other people coming. I'd love to hear some questions, some hellos, where you live. Any questions about the exam will be welcome. Okay, but I'm going to be mainly focusing on speaking today. Okay. So let's, so Shokat, you're in Pakistan. Okay, so I do know a few Pakistan cities, but not many. So I'm going to try and guess. Are you in Lahore? Tell me if you're in Lahore. And anyone else? Hello, nice to see you. Please get in touch. Tell me where you are. Tell me if you have any questions. Okay, I'm going to be looking at speaking today, but happy to answer any other questions if you have some as well. Okay, so I think we'll get started. Let's get started. Okay, so let me show you what I'd like to talk about today. Yeah, I'm going to be talking about speaking. So here we go. Hopefully everyone can see that. Okay, summarising. I wonder if anybody knows when we're supposed to use summarising. Does anyone know when we're supposed to use summarising? It's not an easy question to answer. When you think about summarising, we often think about writing, but it also comes up in speaking as well. So does anyone have any idea about when you might use summarising in OET speaking? Let's give a couple more seconds. No one's got any input yet. Well, I can tell you, okay, we use summarising in two different places in OET, okay? So let's scroll up. We use summarising in providing structure and also information giving, okay? They are C3 and D5, so two different parts of OET, okay? So providing structure, we use it, really very, very useful, and information gathering. Now, if you think about what summarising is going through something that you've spoken about already and sort of saying a brief version of it. So Hawazin at the end of the card. Yeah, okay, people often say that at the end of the card. Hi, Alexia, nice to see you. Yeah, before you move on to the next point is a useful one. Now, I'm just going to argue a little bit. Okay, so Hawazin has said at the end of the card. Okay, so I'm just going to get that. I'll just put that onto the screen now. Okay, so yeah, that makes sense. Put them at the end of the card. But the problem is this. Often, we don't get to the end of the card. Okay, so remember, we don't have to. We don't have to finish in OET. You know, we don't have to finish the cue card in OET speaking. What's important is that we have 5 minutes, 5 high quality minutes of consultation is what's required, okay? So if we don't get to the end of the card and we're saving up our summary for the end of the card, that's a bit of a problem, isn't it? Because we don't get to the end, we can't do a summary. So I get it, Hawazin. I think that's a good point. But no, unfortunately, we're not going to say there at the end of the card here. I do like Alexia's idea. I do like the idea of before you move on to the next point, but I'm not sure that I would do it at the end of every point on the cue card. I'm not sure I would do it like that. I'll tell you when. Okay, I'll tell you when we do it. Okay, so providing structure, okay, C3. We've got 3 indicators for providing structure. And the third one, C3, there's a lot of different points, but one of them is repetition and summary. Okay, that's what they call it, repetition and summary. So I'm going to show you a situation here. Okay, think about where we could repeat and summarize. Okay, so let's just pull this across here. Repetition and summary. Okay, that's one of the sort of the sub-indicators in C3, repetition and summary. Now you might be thinking that this that I've got on the screen now is information giving. And you're right, it is information giving. It is. But a good way to think about OET speaking is that relationship building, understanding and incorporating patient perspective, and providing structure are all sort of foundational skills, foundational criteria, which means that they are always being used. Whether you're doing information giving, information gathering, it doesn't matter, okay? You're always doing it, okay? You never stop having a good relationship. You never stop providing structure. So Shokat, let's summarize whatever we have discussed so far. Close, I think, there. Close, but I think I might change the language a little bit. So look at this. We have to say to the patient, they need to make an effort to stay active, cycling, running, playing sports, etc. There's a lot of different stuff here, okay? Okay, we've got loads of different things. So let's look at one. They need to make an effort to stay active. There's the first thing. They need to eat high fiber foods. There's the second thing. Okay, and they need to increase their fluid intake. So for me, we've got 3 things that we have to do. And as we do this explanation, we're going to go on and give examples of them, aren't we? Okay, that's what we're going to do. Okay, minimum 2 liters per day. Now, if I was going to do this explanation, provide this information, I would be doing my chunking technique. I would sort of ask what they know about how they can be more active. Then I'd give a couple of examples. I'd check their understanding. I might encourage their reaction and ask them, can you do that, etc. So I go through the full information giving chunking process. But then at the end, I might just do a summary. Now, my summary cannot be all of that again. It can't be all of that. I don't want to do that. So what I might do instead is I might just go, okay, I'll summarize. So I'll say 1, I'll say 2, and I'll say 3. And I'll just go over the basics, the main point of each of those 3 things at the end of the explanation. Now, I think that would be very useful. Okay, not only would it be useful, it would be something that gets me a tick in the box from the OET examiner, because I've done some repetition and summary, and I'm proving that I can do point C3, indicator C3, in providing structure. Okay, so does anyone know any language? We've just had some from Shokat, which is quite nice. It's not 100% perfect in terms of the language, but it's not a bad effort. Does anyone know any other phrases that we could use that would be similar, maybe? Oh, something else popped in there as I was taking it. Okay, yeah. Here, yeah. So here we've got, that's a nice one. That is good. I quite like that one. Does anyone have another one that they could do? Let's summarize what we have discussed, whatever we have discussed so far. I'm going to change that a little bit, but I'd like to hear some other ones if you've got some. What other phrases could we use to introduce a summary? I'll just wait for you guys to catch up. What other phrases have we got that could be used to introduce a summary? Now, Shogat's put something in that we would call a menu technique. First, I would like to discuss X, and then we can talk Y. That is more of the menu technique. Okay, we're looking there to introduce what's going to follow. I'm not talking about what's going to follow. When I summarize, I'm talking about what has been. Okay, what we've already done. Any other phrases? To sum up what we have discussed now. Okay, Alexia, yeah, okay. To sum up. Yeah, I guess we could say that as well. I think for me, I would probably, I think I could use both of those. I think I could use both of those. Okay, so let's try and get that onto, yeah, so let's scroll up a little bit and have a look at these. I think we could say something like, I think we could say, let me take this off. Yeah. I like this one. Let's summarize what, not whatever, what we have discussed so far. I like that. I think that's a good one. To sum up, but I don't think you need to say this bit here, what we have discussed. You don't actually have to say that. You could just say, okay, and I quite often do okay at the beginning. Okay, let's sum up. Full stop. And then I would go into my summary. All right. Just to summarize, just to recap. These are all nice phrases, I think. Yeah, we could definitely say all of these ones. How about this one? We could say, okay, let's just go through that again. Let's just go through that one more time. And then I'd introduce a summary. Okay, and then my summary will just be the headline points, the main points, the highlights, which would be, okay, so we need you to be a little bit more active and increase the amount of high fiber foods you're eating. And also, it's really important to increase how much water you're drinking every day. Okay, and then at the end, we can put a little, how does that sound? Couldn't we just do that at the end? How does that sound? Or is that okay? I think that would be a really nice way to end that. Okay, so really nice language, very, very useful. Nice situation in an information giving situation. Here we are, providing some structure and doing a summary. Now this is for situations. Let me recap. I like that. Yeah, that's good. I like that. Recap. That's a good one there. Hawazin, yeah. Let's have a look at another situation, because this one is going to be more around, where is it? Okay, here it is. This one's more about information that we receive. Okay, so this is information gathering. All right, information gathering this time. Now, when we do information gathering, we keep receiving a lot of information, don't we? So let's have a look at the situation. All right. This is a very, very typical information gathering task. Find out about the patient's lifestyle, diet, physical activity, alcohol intake. So my information gathering technique would be question about that, question about that, question about that. Okay, 1, 2, 3. That's what I would be doing. I break that down. Obviously, I try and avoid compound questions. So I don't say, tell me about your diet and your physical activity. I don't put those two together. All right. Now, this isn't really an information gathering class. So we're not going to go into too much detail about open and closed questions, avoiding compound questions, etc. And there are active listening things like using non-verbals, echoing, paraphrasing. But Summarizing is something that can happen here. Now think about what we're doing, all right? Let's just go back up here and look at this one. Why do you think OET want you to do this after you have given some information? Why is it that OET would say, okay, look, summarizing and repetition is an important part of explaining and providing structure? Why would they say that that's something that you are going to be judged on in your OET exam? I think that's a really good question. It's something that I sort of came to a realization about a while ago. The realization is this, okay? When we give information, we have to demonstrate to the OET examiner that the patient understands it. All right? When we give information, we have to demonstrate that the patient understands it. And if you think about it, if we're gathering information, then the opposite is true. When we gather information, we've got to demonstrate that we understand the information from the patient. Okay? That's important. Whether you're a nurse, whether you're a doctor, it doesn't matter. We have to demonstrate that we understand the information from the patient. And that's why in information gathering, the indicator D5 is basic. If I summarize it, okay, it's summarizing, for correction. And this is the thing that I think is so good about it. It's for correction. It doesn't matter if you do that summary incorrectly. All right? After you hear all of the detail about these here, you can summarize it briefly at the end. You can also take the opportunity to do some paraphrasing, which will further show your linguistic skills. And if you're wrong, then the interlocutor can say, well, actually, no, that's not correct. It's more like this. And then you can say, oh, thank you for correcting me. I'll make a note. And you're demonstrating to the examiner that you understand the patient. Okay, so let's just see what they say. Let's go and have a think about it. So let's just say that the patient says, okay, the diet. For diet, takeaway meals 5 times a week. All right. For physical activity, used to play tennis, now nothing. Okay. And then we've got alcohol intake. Let's say that this is something like 3 to 4 beers every day. Okay, now there's a certain amount of linguistic ability that we need, okay, to be able to summarize this. Because we want to do a bit of paraphrasing. We don't want to say it exactly the same, but saying it exactly the same is better than not doing it. So many people do not do it. They overlook summarizing for correction. Okay, they get through information gathering and then they just move on to the next point because now they want to do some information giving. They want to give the diagnosis or something like that. But I would do exactly the same thing here as I did above. I would say some of these phrases. Okay, let's summarize. All of these are fine. Okay, these questions here I think are just really, really similar. Okay, so again, just to recap, you told me let me just summarize. You know, there are 100 different ways of doing this, but basically these are the phrases that you need. You don't need 100 different ways to do it. Just 2 will do. Okay, how many times are you going to do it in your exam? Not that many. Okay. So I really like this idea. I would now be saying something like, okay, so just to recap, you eat takeaway meals most nights of the week. Okay, most nights of the week. Okay. Nowadays, you don't do any physical activity. Nowadays, that sounds like, well, you used to do it, but now you don't. And each evening you're drinking a minimum of 3 beers. There are loads of different ways to pick this out, or you could just repeat it. You have takeaway meals 5 times a week. You used to play tennis, but now you don't do any activity, and you drink 3 to 4 beers every day. Is that correct? Is what we're going to finish that with. Is that correct? Okay, so this is the key phrase, which sounds a bit different to when you're sort of, giving. Okay, this is a bit different. All right. So for me, I think it's really useful. And I just want to stress again how people so rarely do their summarizing. Well, Shukat's saying, you just mentioned that. Would you like to add anything? Well, for me, would you like to add anything is not about summarizing. I'm not saying it's not good for information giving, but it's not summarizing. Okay? So in my experience, people don't use the opportunities to summarize. So please have a think about it. Have a think about those indicators. Try and do some practice. And remember that it's not just at the end of the task that you do summarizing. And it's not just when you receive information that you do summarizing. You can also do it when you are giving information. Okay? So let's finish there. If anybody's got any questions or they want to send anything through to us, please let us know. You can find us at SET English. I'll pop it into the comments. We've got loads of great programs. We do classes like this all the time where you get the chance to come and speak to us and get feedback on your speaking, okay, with a teacher. So please get in touch and hopefully we'll see you soon. Okay, take care everyone. Bye-bye.